whatever time zone anybody's in, or good morning, depending on, I guess, what time zone everybody's at. Um, I I meant to go live. What's today? Wednesday. I meant to go live on Friday or Saturday over the weekend. Saturday or Sunday. I meant to go live, but I didn't get a chance to because I was so tired. So for before I forget, if at the end of the video you like the video, or it's okay with you if you can like and subscribe, I would greatly appreciate it. My name is Marjan. I'm technically United Methodist. I was born in Iran. I grew up in Kentucky. Kentucky, the United Methodist Church is very big. So I think I got baptized as United Methodist when I was about 21. Um, I got baptized when I was 16, but I became United Methodist when I was 21. Um, so I married someone who, at the time that we got married, was not technically a witness. He had five kids from previous marriage, and four of those kids were witnesses, but one has never uh, uh, gotten baptized, and I don't think she's going to get baptized. I seriously doubt she would ever join the religion. And then as I stayed married, uh, because witnesses, because Robert had gotten this fellowship, the kids, three of the kids wouldn't talk to him or weren't allowed to talk to him. So I kept getting put in the middle, and I told him, I said, look, you have, you know, three of your kids that you can't have a relationship with. You need to do whatever you got to do to get reinstated. And he still believed a lot of the stuff that they believed. So he went back after a year or two that we had been married. Um, a couple of years after, I think 1 year or 2 years we had gotten married, he went back in. You can get reinstated. Now, the difference between witnesses and uh, from what I know, Mormons and Scientology. I know more. I've known Mormons. Mormons, you have to show if you're in good standing, you have to show your um, uh, tax things once a year, or your paycheck. If you don't file taxes, show your paycheck stubs. You have to show it to elders, and I've noticed for a fact. I've had good friends who were Mormons, and they have to do that once a year. You have to show how much money you're making. And because for you to be able to go to the temple, what they consider temple, you have to you have to be showing in good standing and contributing. If you make money, you gotta give those tithings. Otherwise, you're not gonna be able to go to temple if you're not financially giving money. Um, And as far as Scientology, from what I've heard from Aaron, um, uh, if you get out, you got to give a lot of money to get back in, spend a lot of money to get back in. Witnesses, so far, Robert hasn't, but I mean, we're not in the financial thing to give money anyhow, but he never had to pay any money to get reinstated or anything. He's never we're not because we're both on disability and so on. Neither one of us financially really contributes because we're not in the financial bracket to contribute, even if he wanted to. Um, so he's never given financially money. Uh, I because I didn't know much about witnesses. We used to have a friend who was a witness, but a long time ago, who would come by sometimes. Uh, but I really, before Robert, I knew his daughter, but she's one of the daughters who's a witness. She was the one who was talking to him. And she, she's not as, she's very much like her dad. She's not very hardcore. She's kind of a really easygoing personality, and it's not as hardcore as some of the other witnesses. So even when Robert was disfellowship, she still communicated with him. Uh, So Robert has had he had a car accident in 1993, I want to say. He had a very bad car accident, and he's had a bunch of health issues since then. And in October, no, in May, he broke his ankle at a rehab facility that he was staying at. Just walking, he broke his ankle, and uh, uh, end up having to have two surgeries on that ankle at Mayo Hospital. And I usually, because they have a procedure that the husband is the head of the household, uh, uh, and so on, I make it a point if I'm friends with a couple of his friends from his Kingdom Hall, uh, about three people, three or four people that I'm friends with. Um, but they have their kingdom halls change and so on. So one of the new elders, I just when he was in the hospital, we usually don't use. I don't know if any of you are married, but uh, Robert usually doesn't use my phone, and I usually don't use his because we have separate phones. Uh, there's really, unless there's a problem with my phone or something, I usually don't need to use his or vice versa. Um, and so he had a group chat that was from his Kingdom Hall, and I just sent them a note saying, "Oh, Robert's going into surgery," in one of the group chats that was uh, for his Kingdom Hall group, study group, whatever. And I sent a couple of pictures before surgery on his foot, and or after surgery, I sent a couple of pictures. And I didn't I never post anything on, I never send anything even in text message or anything. I under, because I studied law enforcement management, I never send any pictures on phone that I wouldn't mind if it became public, because I'm like, somebody's phone can get hacked. Even if I totally 100% trust the person that I'm sending it to, people's phones get hacked, or phone systems get hacked. So I never send any picture that's in any way inappropriate, because I assume any picture I send, if it's on internet, I wouldn't get embarrassed by it, because I assume any and everything that I send as a text or anything else, if it's on my phone, it's public, and I wouldn't want anything on there that I wouldn't be okay sending it to my grand. That's my rule. Never send anything, emails, text, anything that if I showed it to my grandmother, it would be okay. Uh, that's that's my biggest number one rule. So I didn't send any inappropriate pictures. It was just showing his leg and him in the hospital bed, fully clothed, nothing. And do you know the elder called Robert within 10 minutes after he got to his room saying, "Oh, your wife sent inappropriate pictures." Now, mind you, the elder that called Robert could have easily called me. He has my number, my cell phone number. So he could have just as easily called me at any time saying, "Oh, Sister Van Leer, this is a public a group text message. We don't put any pictures on here," or whatever. It would have been fine. But because Robert technically is, and also, mind you, I'm not a witness and never been a witness and don't have any plans on. We've been married for 28 years. I wouldn't have sent to his church group uh, uh, any picture that I would have thought it was inappropriate. And the only thing I sent was saying he's out of the surgery, and just a picture of the cast, whatever they had, band-aids they had put on, and him in the hospital bed. Nothing else. And it wasn't, he was fully gowned and everything. But because one, I'm not a witness. Two, and he wasn't, and I wouldn't also have sent anything that I would think that Robert would be unhappy with. And so Robert had, when the elder called him, uh, he Robert had me on the phone call on public, and mind you, he's just out of a surgery on his leg where they had to make an 8-inch incision and break the ankle, because break the bone because the bone had set the wrong way from where it originally had broke. Reset it, put a rod and screws it. So he had a major surgery on his leg, and he's over the age of 70. Uh, and the elder is calling to say, your wife sent inappropriate pictures. So I could have very easily, and uh, if I was younger or not used to, I could have very easily take the phone and said, "Can I talk to you privately?" and gone outside and give it to the elder for calling someone in a hospital right after surgery, complaining about uh, two pictures. That's all, two pictures, mind you. Because what he did, even if I had done what I said was inappropriate, all he had to do is talk to me in private. But the religion, whether you want to call it a cult or not a cult, uh, to me that was more inappropriate. So the way I handle these things, because again, we've been married for 28 years, very easily I could have said, "Go f yourself." You don't call somebody when they just got in that. There was a more appropriate time. He could have waited 24 hours or 48 hours, or talk to me not after when Robert's all drugged up and groggy and everything from surgery. Literally, he had just gotten in the room less than 10 minutes. Uh, but the way to handle, as someone who's not a witness, has no intention of ever becoming one, and this is one of the reasons, because they are totally disrespectful to non-witnesses. They they aren't. Now Robert could have sent the picture; it would have been fine, but they knew he hadn't, because first of all, there's no way he could have. He had just gotten out of the surgery, and there's the way the picture was. There was no way Robert could have sent it, and Robert isn't very good in sending pictures. He's not very good in texting. He hardly ever sends text. So they knew it wasn't him, because he almost never sends text to anybody. Uh, so they knew it wasn't him, that it had to be me. Uh, there are ways of handling this. In after 28 years of having to deal with witnesses, because three three of the kids are very much witnesses, and they they totally toed the line as far as being witnesses. I What I do, because I'm hoping, and some of he has grandkids. Some of the grandkids are adults now. The two youngest he has two under age of 18, but the rest of the grandkids, there's five of them who are adults over the age of 21. My hope in dealing with them is that I want to leave it open and be respectful and be kind at all times, so that one day, if they ever decide to get out of the religion, because he has one daughter and two grandkids who never joined the faith and will never join the faith. There is no way in the world they would do it. Because one of them is a singer, she's a professional singer. She can't do her job, singing job, if she becomes a witness. There's no She would get disfellowship immediately, almost, for doing, because they very much limit you on the type of music where you can play and all that. So there's no way under any circumstances she'll ever become a witness, nor will her kids. But for the four that are baptized, and there's two, three grandkids at least that are adult who are also baptized. There might be a day that they decide to get out of the religion. And one of the daughters has already gotten this fellowship two different occasions. The only person she could talk to was me and her dad. We were the only ones, plus the other daughter who's never been baptized. Because Robert didn't care. Technically, he wasn't supposed to talk to her either, but he didn't care. He treated her the same irregardless, that's his child. He's not going to not talk to his child just because she's been disfellowshipped by some bunch of white, bunch of guys, men. So, but I want to always leave the door open that in the event that if they do decide to get out, the door is open. They know I've never been disrespectful towards the faith, towards their religion, and but I'm not participating in it either, but I've never been disrespectful towards the religion. And so by that, I've left the door open that if they ever want to get out, they have options. And and so for that reason, when other people, the elders, uh, uh, behave badly, I don't always react to them. I just give them. There's a saying: "Give people enough rope to hang them." I just give them a whole lot of more rope, uh, because there's no, you can't talk people out of their religion. There's no way you can. People are either in or out. They're not. It's one of those things like you're either pregnant or you're not. There's no halfway. So I'm not gonna be just because they're being rude and disrespectful. It doesn't. So I totally ignored them. I apologized. Oh, sorry. The photos were inappropriate. It was just from me down. And the other pictures is of him being in a hospital bed. There was nothing showing or uh, and I just said, "Hey, he's out of surgery." That's it. I said one text saying he's going into surgery. The other was saying he's out of surgery. You give so, but also I don't ever make it welcoming for them to come to the apartment or the house when we had a house. I never invite them for anything, and never go to any of their. A lot of times make sure I'm on those errands when they're here. Make sure I'm on those errands when they're here. So I never give them any opportunity to interact with me for any reason. And that may not be the best way of dealing with someone, but it also doesn't give them any chance inappropriate because he's a witness. He can't really, he's very limited as to what he can say or not say. If I had asked him, he could. There were several things he could tell the elder. Hey, I just got out of surgery. He could have said that. Uh, 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 but there's no reason to have him get into a discussion or argument with someone, because at the end of the day, one, they can disfellowship him, uh, and two, him getting this fellowship isn't going to help him with he has five. Uh, Out of those five four witnesses, he has uh, at least three grandkids who are adults who are active as Jehovah's Witnesses. And as a grandfather, he's uh, uh, with the grandkids actually four grandkids don't have a dad and they're on and back with him. So he's with Robert staying active, it's not only doing what is in the best interest of him, but it's also what is in the best interest of his kids. He's got to be able to talk to them and connect with them and uh, uh, be able to be active with them in their lives. So um, I used to have a teacher who was an attorney, and he used to teach law enforcement management. One of good teachers, and Terry Edwards, I think that's his name, at University of Louisville in Kentucky. And one of the things when people would ask him questions, he would say it depends. So this is one of those things, whether you want to call Jehovah's Witnesses a cult or not, I would say it depends. And my question would be, even if it's a cult, what do you have to do when someone is a parent and has to do what's in the best interest of their child and their grandkids? Uh, Robert has that obligation to do also. He's got an obligation to do what is in his best interest too. I'm not saying that, and also to do what is in the best interest of his wife, but he also has an obligation to do what is in the best interest of his kids and grandkids. Because the other side around this is, since he is the head of the household, uh, there are things that his kids have to do. Now, Robert has never pushed it because he's not that type of person. He's not. He's never tried to use the church to get his kids to do something. And most times, with the exception of a few times, most times his kids are pretty good. With the exception of once once child. The rest of them are usually pretty good uh, in following through. Um, because if it was something serious, Robert could push it. He could go to the elders and complain to the elders uh, and take it to a point where they would get disfellowship. He would never do that. Uh, because he has a good relationship and his ex-wife has passed away for about 5 years now. She would really try to prohibit the kids from talking to him. Since she has passed away, and that's no longer a hindrance, they pretty much listen to him and have a very positive relationship with him because out of the four, I mean, even the one who's not a witness, they really consider him as the head of the household, as their dad, and so because of that, he's they've never put him in a position where he's asked them to do something or not to do something, and they wouldn't follow through. But he's got good kids to begin with, and Robert isn't as a person. He's very easygoing. By the time Robert raises his voice to anybody, he would be to a point that, I mean, by the time Robert gets, he's a Taurus. He's one of those people that by the time you get him mad, you have about five other people about to injure you because you would have to do so much and really go out of your way to piss him off or get him angry. It takes a whole lot. But if Robert ever raises his voice, you know it's an emergency because he's one of those people who he's very easygoing, and is not pushy at all in any way. So uh, that's just a thought and uh, idea as to what's like to be married to someone who's a witness. Um, but I guess we've been able to make it for 28 years because Robert isn't pushy. He knows, he's very well aware that I don't agree with their ideology in any way, and on so many levels. It's fine. He could care less. Uh, uh, he's able to. I don't hinder him, and vice versa. He doesn't hinder me from doing my religious activities. So we're able to come from to separate the two religions and not hinder each other on our religious beliefs. So you can take that. I don't know if that's good or bad, or uh, I have to ask a psychologist on marriage as to whether it's good or bad that we're not involved in each other's religious activities. Somebody with a higher education and higher pay grade would have to, but that's where we are at. And that's the example that came up this weekend. And I really could have gone off, and I would have been in every right to go off on this brother on, but now that I know how he is, and I know how he's, because he had my phone number, he could have very easily called me and say, "Excuse me, don't send pictures. We don't send pictures in this group chat," which would have been fine. Uh, uh, so, but now that I know that he's now, I'll make sure that uh, he's also one less person that comes to the house or has less contact with us, and so you have to deal with things as they come and do it in a way that it's not confrontational and works for everybody, and you can be respectful. But just because you're being respectful, it doesn't mean you let people run over you. It just means you know where they're at, and you reduce contact with them even more than you have before. And uh, they want to practice their religion, that's fine. That's just one more person to have less contact with, and not to text for any reason in future. I was being polite to do it. Now I know being polite doesn't work for him. That's fine. He's just gonna have less contact. And next time he calls or texts, I have the prerogative not to answer also. All right. Like and subscribe if you like the video. Thank you. Have a wonderful week or weekend, whatever time zone you're in. Thank you. Bye.